All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Wildlife Ambassador and One Health Live. This was March edition. and we've got some great topics for you guys today. So as always, we're going to have trivia questions. We'll go a bit into some recent awards that we've been granted, as well as some new vacancies here at BWRC. Then we also have a bit about our upcoming hero nominations and Wildlife Ambassador Conference. We'll talk about recent trainings that we've done, recent outreach to schools that we've done, then some exciting news about our new clinic and classroom building, which we're actually using here today. You might notice a different background. Then we'll go into common emergencies versus non-emergencies with some common species that we see at BWRC. We'll look a little bit at the New World screwworm outbreak, the latest facts and figures there, and then of course our patient updates. So my name is Max Rom.
Hi guys, I'm Gian.
And yeah, let's get right into it. As always, we'll start off this live with our great One Health song from Bay C. So if you guys just sit with us for a moment, we'll get right into the meat of this presentation in just a moment.
See, icon. Yeah. Listen me. Listen me, feature. Spread the one that with the paper across the region. Listen me, feature. Listen me. Listen me News would like to introduce you to this brand new concept. One health, one Caribbean, one love. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health are the brand new concept to fight virus and diseases. Calling all of the various doctors, let's work together to achieve this. Human doctor, animal doctor, the environmental doctor. Each one an important factor. The public health have a brand new chapter. A good example of chickpea. Even if it don't hurt you, then it still hurt me. If you check the process, you will see it move from the environment to animal, then to we. First from the egg in the water, then from the water to the mosquito, then from the mosquito it goes straight to the people. But if we work together, then it leads to one health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health is not just for people with medical occupation. It is for the entire population. So we need everyone cooperation across the region. Improve food security, better solid waste management and water purity. Protect the habitat for you and me, for the animals on the land and the fish in the sea. One Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. Listen me. Enough respect to one health leaders. 12 countries across the region. To a health the Caribbean, them a leaders. Let me list out the island: Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, Belize, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Barbados, Dominica, Trinidad, Tobago, Haiti, Antigua. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong.
So one health, one love, one Caribbean, right? So we love that song because it talks all about one health and how and all of its importance, right? But thanks for joining us, everybody. Maybe you can just comment down there if you're watching. Where are you watching from? How are you doing today? Just say hi if you want to. But let us know that you're watching that. Let us know that you are here with us. Right, so let's jump into the trivia questions as we do usually. So I'm gonna be projecting it here, and you have the rest of the live to actually answer these trivia questions. And then, as usual, you can always win a little prize, a little merch from the clinic. Right, so I'm gonna be putting this the graphic here with the questions, and it says, how can you tell if a bird is a fledgling or a hatchling? Right? So how can you tell if a bird is a fledgling or a hatchling? And number two, what should you do if you come across a dead or injured opossum with live young? Right? So if you find an opossum, be it a mama opossum, with some dead or injured, if it's either dead or injured, and you see that it has little babies, right? What should you do? All right, I'll give it a couple of seconds there before we go back to the rest of our live. So again, you have the rest of the live, right? We'll be here for a couple of minutes, probably almost the hour, and you can answer on the comment section what is the correct answer.
All right. Now getting right on into it. We are very, very proud and happy to report that our team here at BWRC has secured funding for another phase of the Wildlife Ambassador Program, as well as our new Wildlife and One Health Fellowship Program. So thanks to the Caribbean Organization for a Resilient Environment Gender Smart Facility, or CORE GSF, being implemented by PACT, we've gotten an award to keep the program going for another 12 months. So through that, we'll be addressing more human-wildlife conflict through community education, and specifically the development of women and youth wildlife ambassadors, and strengthening our reporting mechanisms to make sure that it's all quite transparent and we're getting the relevant feedback from you guys as well. The most exciting part of this new program is that the Wildlife and One Health Fellowship will be for 2 people, preferably women, preferably of Indigenous heritage, to join us here at BWRC for the next 11 to 12 months. We have posted up that vacancy. You can see there on the screen. All details are there. So if you're interested or you know someone who might be, please forward that and reach out to us. Fellows are going to get a lot of hands-on training here with us, just about doing everything that we do here at the Wildlife Clinic. So that will range from training in the One Health approach and wildlife care, to public outreach, ecosystem-based adaptation strategies. And then at the end of it, they will get to coordinate localized outreach in their communities that they come from. So that's the really exciting part of that. Additionally, though, we will be reaching out with 10 more training workshops, trying to get 150 minimum new ambassadors from both rural and Indigenous communities, women's groups, and yeah, just reaching out to a lot more people there. Phase 2 and Phase 1 of the ambassador program have largely targeted law enforcement, which is primarily male. So it's great to be reaching out to, more diverse groups as well through this program. So we're really looking forward to that. And hopefully we continue to use this program to, mitigate and reduce human-wildlife conflict and illegal wildlife trade in communities that we haven't really reached out to before. So very excited about that bit.
All right. Another little news there is that we also are hiring. So we are looking for a full-time hotline coordinator. If you can see on the screen, all right. So it will serve somewhat of a dual purpose between a hotline coordinator and an educator, right? He or she will play, a crucial role within all the WAP training and everything exciting that is going on, right? So thankfully this grant and hopefully future grants will allow this new position to be open for the foreseeable future. So we're still accepting applications. So if you're interested in this post, feel free to scan the QR code, and we are still awaiting more applications. We will announce once it's filled, right? So there's not a particular deadline. As long as it's we, until we have someone, it will be open. All right, so we'll be sharing that with you as we go along. Um, a small little thing to mention here is that this vacancy is for Belizeans only, unfortunately. We've been getting some international applications, but unfortunately, it complicates things a little bit more than hiring a Belizean. So for now, we're looking for someone based in Belize. All right, so we also do want to remind in terms of our Wildlife Hero Awards and Wildlife Ambassador Conference, which we also already have a date. So I will be showing here on screen now. So October 3rd, right? The specific time will be arranged. However, we already know that we have the venue at the wonderful San Ignacio Resort and Hotel, right? So we are looking at our annual or Wildlife Ambassador Program Conference group with our Wildlife Heroes Award for 2026. And this will be our second ever, right? The first one was last year, 2025, right? So we will be posting the link for the nominations, right, in the comment section. And you can just click on that link and give us a short little summary on the person that you are nominating, a picture, and a little bio, and that's all we ask for the Wildlife Hero Awards 2026 nomination. So feel free to start to nominate, guys, so that we can already start the process of choosing our wildlife heroes for this year.
Yeah, and that can be anyone that goes, above and beyond as a wildlife ambassador to protect wildlife, protect the One Health approach, well, utilize the One Health approach, and protect their communities. And I might add that self-nominations are also allowed. So if you want to nominate yourself, you can also go right ahead. That link is right in the comments section. And that takes us on into some of our recent trainings that we've done here. We're actually proud to say that we've done a first wildlife ambassador training here in this very building, our new classroom. So over the weekend, this past Saturday, we were able to do a training alongside Dr. Marisa Tellez of the Crocodile Research Coalition. And that was a training on snake and crocodile conflict management. So yeah, it brought together a great mix of participants. It brought tour guides, rangers from all the way up in Sartaneja, some students from both UB and Sacred Heart, and I believe Galen, and several community members. So it was great to, impart some of this knowledge. It was my first time doing this training as well, so it was great to learn a lot from both Dr. Isabella and Dr. Tellez, as they really know a lot about these often misunderstood species. So it covered a lot of different topics. Some of those were common snake species here in Belize, including the 8 venomous species that we have, and several of their lookalikes that, they're mimics so as to deter predators from eating them, but they are not venomous. And in some cases, like the king snake we have here in Belize, they actually do prey on venomous snakes. So not one that you want to confuse. It's one that you might actually want to have around if you're not a big fan of snakes. So yeah, venomous snakes and some of their lookalikes. Causes of conflict. So that would be like what attracts these species, what brings them around our homes, and how we can mitigate that and prevent it. And also some common myths and realities surrounding these misunderstood animals. So we often hear snake na snake here in Belize. This is not the case. There's a lot of different types that we have, over 60, and there's a lot of misinformation surrounding both them and crocodiles. Dr. Tay has even mentioned that a large part of what she does is just dispelling myths because people will see crocodiles and see this big reptile, this big lizard on the beach there, and it's not really, there's a lot more fear that goes to them than they actually deserve. And due to that, they're sometimes injured unfairly and abused. So, we would like to see that stop as well. We also went over, the common myths and proper restraint tools and methods. And Dr. Tejas gave us some very interesting history on crocodiles here in Belize and in the region. Just like how they played a huge role in cultural heritage, the young coming out right before the rainy season as a prediction of the rains to come was a nice one. How and why their numbers were so reduced in the 20th century, largely due to sport hunting here in Belize. And you hear a lot of people talk about like we have too many crocodiles now. Actually, in the past, we had many, many, many more here in the country, and these numbers are just actually starting to rebound. So they don't pose a threat. They're just doing their thing, living in the water, and it's best that they are allowed to replenish because having a healthy crocodile population is a sign of a healthy river as well. Yeah, so how their populations are rebounding. And it was a very interesting workshop overall. We got 20 people together here in our new classroom, and they are all certified now under this. So a huge thank you to Dr. Isabel, Dr. Tejas, and the Crocodile Research Coalition for, pulling this one together and getting these people trained in such an interesting topic.
And I want to mention, if you missed it like I did, we surely have another one in the future, right? So if you are an ambassador and you are interested in taking this croc and snake training, we will try to organize one as soon as possible, right? As long as we have at least, I don't know, 15 more ambassadors who are willing to get this training, I'm pretty sure that we can set that up, right?
Yeah, and we're actually looking into doing one in Belize City because a large number of the conflict calls that we get about snakes and crocodiles are coming from Belize City. So, yeah, look out for news about that coming up.
All right. And talking about Belize City, and I link it to police because a lot of the police sometimes helps us. So we're always really, really glad to partner with them, and we also want to share that we were at the National Police Training Academy in Belmopan, doing one of our wildlife ambassador program training as well on March 10th and 11th. And I just want to share a couple of those photos with you. We had a very engaged group of 25 participants from the Belize Police Department all over the country, and they all had very high scores this time. We were very surprised to see them being a little competitive. Even if they lost 1 point, they were there. Hey, I think this was correct. It was very nice to see their interest in this sort of training, right? And big shout out to Miss Victoria Chi from the Forest Department, who presented, as usual, the Wildlife Protection Act, right, which is super super important for our police to be familiar with, right? So we had 7 female and 18 male police officers that are now fully certified wildlife ambassadors, right, and ready to respond whenever there is some sort of wildlife emergency around the area, right? So very very nice group. Um, so big shout out to the police department there who help us organize this training.
Yeah, looking forward to doing more of those and getting more of our law enforcement a little more familiar with the laws regarding wildlife, how to recognize conflict and illegal trafficking, and that really helps us to prevent this from happening in the first place, and hopefully prevent or mitigate the amount of patients that we get, reduce that, because a lot of them do come from these causes. So next up, we have a bit about our school outreach activities. I think Gian and I might split this topic because we've been very busy here at BWRC lately, so some of the events I haven't been able to attend, some of them he hasn't been able to attend, so yeah, but we have had a very busy month when it comes to school outreach as well, besides those two trainings that we just mentioned. We've had everyone from New Hope High School up in Orange Walk District. They had their career day at the start of the month, which we were happy to attend. And full of young, bright minds who were very inquisitive about what it is we do at the clinic, and maybe even a few future veterinarians at that bunch. You never know. So that was a great one. We also went to Galen twice in the last month. So they had a little event for World Wildlife Day in which we went and Dr. Isabel gave a talk on pest management here in Belize. And that one was alongside the Belize Raptor Center as well, another excellent resource on pest management. And then we also had Galen Eagle Day later in the month, which brought together people from all walks of life, all different kinds of businesses. It was a really engaging day. We saw quite a lot of visitors and, other people doing their promotions as well, which was quite cool to see.
We managed to catch a harpy, if you see the photo there with Daniel.
Yes, our great volunteer Daniel did manage to catch the harpy. So, yeah, it was fun to go and soar with the eagles at Galen. That was quite an interesting event too. And I don't know, Jan, if you would like to talk a bit about
sure.
Baby Bill.
So we got called a couple months back that we did Ladyville SDA from is a Seventh-day Adventist primary school. They wanted to they're doing a little school trip here in the Kaya district, and they said that they want to come for a little presentation, and we said yes, sure. But we were pleasantly surprised when we saw three buses incoming. We thought it was one or two classes, but it was in fact four primary school. I think it was standard 3, 4, and 5. So it was a very nice time with them. A bunch of very eager and interested students wanting to know about wildlife. Even about One Health. They were very curious and a newer schoolworm actually. A lot of them were asking questions about this, and it was really really nice to see the new generation interested in their surroundings, the wildlife of Belize, and having that interest in wanting to protect our wildlife. So very very inspired there. I don't have a picture here, but earlier in the month we also went to when it was in San Ignacio. We have the Maya Mountain Rangers. It's a part of a UB project management course, I believe. But it's a very nice program that they designed for school kids. It's called Maya Mountain Rangers, right? And basically they take out the kids every week for some sort of activity, and we were honored to be one of the first presenters. So we presented on the clinic, a little bit about human wildlife conflict, One Health, and wildlife ambassador program. So again, these were very smaller kids. Well, they were at an age range between like everything between standard 2 to standard 6. But again, very curious, very very eager to learn, right? So very inspiring to see these kids.
Yeah, very cool event, and thanks to the organizers of all of these events that we've been to in this last month. It's been a busy one, but it was a pleasure to join all of these schools and to, be around so many young minds that are genuinely interested in the wildlife of our country. All right, so we also have some great news on the groundbreaking of our new clinic building here. So as you guys can see, we're currently in the new classroom building, which I must say is a major upgrade. And right outside, we have construction going on at the moment. Hopefully, not too loud, but our new clinic building has been started. And while they're still digging the foundation, we are super excited about this. It's going to be a major upgrade for us, for our patients, for everyone who visits the BWRC. So, just some of the features of this new clinic will be gold standard biosecurity. So, we're really going to be preventing any cross contamination, any chances of potential outbreak between different species, and keeping everything, in its own place. We will have strict contamination controls and protocols, dedicated surgery suites, intensive care unit and recovery area, a X-ray area, laboratory, an area for all of our pharmaceuticals that need to be used for these animals, and also administrative space to support life-saving care for Belize's wildlife. And I do believe that we'll still be offering the occasional X-ray to domestics as well. So,
Oh yeah, for
you know,
sure.
it really helps us to keep everything going here. And yeah, it's going to be a great step in the right direction for getting permanent facilities for the wildlife here in Belize. So yeah, very cool. And like we mentioned already, we have had some first uses of the classroom between just about 100 primary school students and then our last croc training. We're already getting some great benefits out of these new constructions. So yeah, we hope to see that up and ready before too long here, though it will be a process. And I also had mentioned in a recent Facebook post that we are still seeking a bit of further funding for the permanent clinic. We do have enough to start it. We have committed to getting enough together to finish it. But people like you can also help us make that happen. We're very open to donations. We have that link on our website for foreign donations, and we have bank info for anyone who would like to donate here in Belize. So, if you would like to make a donation and help us make this dream a reality, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Alright. Let's put the quiz questions. I saw Aurora actually answering the quiz questions. Thank you so much. But let me put that one more time so that you can read it if you forgot or if you have just joined the live. So the way we do it is that we put these trivia questions for you to help us with and see if you can answer them. It says, how can you tell if a bird is a fledgling or a hatchling? Right? How can you tell if a bird is a fledgling or a hatchling? And number two, what should you do if you come across a dead or injured opossum with live young? Right? So a mama opossum who's either unfortunately dead or injured with live little babies. What happens to them? What should you do? Right? Comment down on the comment sections and we will see who gets it correct and prepare a little prize for you. So yeah, moving on to like our little presentation section on this. A lot of as you know, I've been manning the hotline for now, right? Until we get someone else, I will transition into an educator position. And I've noticed a lot of the calls. It is baby season now, but one important thing that we do need to get is, to differentiate between emergencies and non-emergencies, because there's a lot of times when people will call me for a little bird fall off the nest, right? And already Max will explain a little bit on this, but a big myth that we have is that, once a human touches a baby bird, that the mom will not come back for it, right? That is a myth, right? You can always renest, you can always, it has the best chance with its mother. Of course, we do taking these baby birds, right? We have experts who would be able to help them and feed them and grow them. But the best chance is, with this mom in the wild, right? So yeah, I'll hand it over to Max. Will be sharing a few common examples with you of uh, common emergencies versus non-emergencies, and at the end we will see a little video on re-nesting birds.
Yeah, we do have a great video prepared for you guys. Well, not prepared, but a great video that we found for you guys that gives some detail on how to properly re-nest a bird, because a lot of the calls coming in lately, as Jan said, have been situations like that. And yeah, that was something coming to the clinic. I was actually surprised to learn that that old saying, well, that old story about like a mother bird will not accept back its young if a human has touched it is completely false. I grew up all my life believing that, and I have always been passionate about wildlife, so that was kind of a surprise to learn. But yeah, even if you do see a bird on the ground, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's in trouble. So our trivia question back to that was, what is the difference between a nestling and a hatchling? So, as the names might suggest, a nestling is a bird still in the nest, and these birds will usually be small, have barely any feathers, if any at all. Their eyes will only be partially opened or completely closed, and they are fully dependent on their parents at this point. Whereas you might see, a small bird, obviously young, but it would have feathers, and you might see these birds kind of flapping or fluttering or hopping around on the ground and think that it's, a nestling that needs to be returned back up to the nest. But this is actually kind of an interim phase where these birds are learning to spread their wings, learning how to fly, learning how to leave the nest. So these would be hatchlings at that point. We do often get calls about this. People see a little bird hopping along the ground, they're concerned. Important, if you have pets and you see this, my recommendation would be to lock them away and just give that bird some time to get out of there. You always want to watch around for the parents, see if they are nearby, and just monitor the situation for a while. Just because it looks young and is down on the ground doesn't necessarily mean that it needs help. And yeah, we have that awesome video about returning birds to the nest that we'll play for you in a bit here. But basically, if you do see a bird on the ground that does have barely any feathers, the eyes are still pretty much closed, and you see the parents in a bit of a panic around it, that is a situation where you could definitely return that bird to the nest and you would be doing it a favor. It is in need of help at that point. And on to some other common non-emergencies that we hear. So deer fawns are another one which is common. We even have a phrase for it called fawn napping. So people will often see these animals without their parents around, without the mother deer, and think that these animals are in need of help. But actually, deers will leave their young alone for up to 12 hours at a time. Their young are actually completely scentless, so they don't attract predators. They'll often be in patches of tall grass, just kind of waiting for the parent to return. So if you do see a deer fawn off by itself, the best thing to do would just be to, stay at a distance and observe if you can. If you don't see any signs of the parents coming back within 12 hours or a bit more, then it might be a situation where you want to reach out to us and we can then further advise you what to do, or reach out to whoever can help that is nearby in that case. But we don't just want to see these animals off on their own and assume, oh, it needs help, and bring it, and in reality its mother was just off foraging and was going to be coming back anyway. Another example would be opossums. So I drive the highway every morning, kind of between here where we are at the clinic and Belmopan, and they are the most common creature that I see as roadkill, sad to say. But also remember that these opossums serve vital ecosystem services. They're great cleaner-uppers. They eat millions of ticks in their lifetime. I might be wrong there, but they eat a lot of ticks. And they're the only marsupials that we actually have here in the Americas, quite interestingly. So that means that they raise their young in a pouch. And what we can actually see sometimes is that mother opossums will be injured on the road, injured by dogs, injured in one way or the other, or deceased. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those babies in their pouch are. Sometimes they can survive whatever had happened. So some key things there would be to check the pouch if there's babies, and if there are, and they look, pink. You can see them moving a little bit. You can see obviously that they're still alive. You do not want to try and remove these babies off of the mother. You want to keep them kind of on there. They are feeding at that point still, most likely. And detaching them forcibly can actually cause a good bit of injury. So you want to be really safe about that as well. The best recommendation would be to, call us, reach out to us, and we will find a way to get them to us. At the moment, I think we're actually trying to get some transportation for some opossums from Dangriga, from
Yes.
a similar situation. We're trying to get those up here to us. So if anyone's coming from that way by chance and watching this live stream, please reach out. Another kind of not emergency versus non-emergency situation would be turtles crossing the road. So a lot of people see this, want to help, and we actually have a very sad case that we had 2 nights ago that we'll go a bit into a little later. But the best thing that you can do for these turtles crossing the road is to just safely pull over and cross them to the other side, carry them in whatever direction they are headed in. If you move them to the side of the road that they were at, they will likely just go and try to cross by themselves again. So these animals have a great sense of direction, and they know where they're going and they know what they're trying to do. So yeah, the best thing that you could do is to help them to the other side in whatever direction that they're going.
I want to share a quick little story in terms of turtle, right? The term that we call it is the homing mechanism, right? They have incredible homing mechanism. Is actually something that in science is not we still don't understand how they do it, right? But they can find their homes wherever they're going. They're gonna go no matter what, right? And there was this call that I received. I believe it was last weekend. Not this weekend is right. It's 2 weekends ago. From someone who took a turtle, right? It was crossing the street somewhere between Belize City and Belmopan, and for some reason the turtle ended up all the way in Orange Rock, right? So in that case, the turtle wasn't injured. The turtle was everything was okay. It looked bright. It looked responsive. So in fact, the turtle was okay to go back where it was coming from. However, it was all the way on Orange Rock, but a kind individual who received the turtle was able to actually take the turtle back from Orange Rock to that between the highway between Belmopan and Belize City. And why is this important? Because, for example, maybe the habitat is different in Orange Rock, right? From that, I think it's tropical savanna between that stretch of highway. So it's very important that they go back to their habitat. Otherwise, it's even possible that that little turtle starts to walk all the way from Orange Rock to wherever it came from, right? But thankfully, that caller was able to return it from where it was. And he will be able to find its home back again. So if you ever see a turtle crossing the street, you want to cross it the direction it's going from, right? If it's going that direction, you want to cross it the same direction, because if you do it in the opposite, then it's gonna do the same thing again, right? So
Yes, they will get to where they want to go, one way or the other, or they'll give it their best shot at any rate. Yeah, so that was our little snippet on emergencies versus non-emergencies. If you guys can think of any more that are familiar to you, please feel free to comment those. I still see that, yeah, we have that one reply from Aurora on the trivia. And just a quick aside, and a notice for any parrot owners in Belize. If you have not permitted your parrot, today is the final day to do so. Forest Department is closing this permitting process, and it might be a little late to, get out there, but if you appeal to them, maybe you still have a chance. And yeah, it is the last day. That whole permitting process is coming to a close now. It's been years and years that it's been open for people to get their animals permitted. So yeah, that's just something I wanted our viewers to be aware of as well. Okay, then now I think we have a brief video on renesting baby birds. You guys want to check that out?
All right. So again, this is from bird sanctuary in Michigan. Right. So we don't own the rights to this video, of course, but it's very useful information that we found for you guys. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a rehab supervisor here at the Bird Center of Michigan, and today I'm going to be showing you how to renest a baby bird. For this demonstration, here is my baby bird. The first thing we're going to want you to do is avoid feeding it, even though you probably want to help the bird and you think it may have been going out without food for a while. Feeding it could actually do more harm than good right now. Birds have very specialized diets, and improper care could cause some serious consequences. Next, what you want to do is try to find the nest that the baby bird fell out of. Birds can build nests in many different areas, and the nests can look very different. As you can see from these preserved samples, birds don't always create nests in the same way or using the same materials. We have finch, robin, a swallow, a chimney swift, and a hummingbird. They're all in different sizes and they all nest in different areas. If you have trouble locating where the nest is, you can sit in the area for a while and observe any nearby birds flying around. If there are other babies in the nest, the parent bird will be returning back to that area. If the nest is missing or damaged, you can create a makeshift nest using a Tupperware container around the size appropriate for a nest with some drainage holes drilled or poked through the bottom and filled with a variety of organic material. Here is one that I made just for an example, using some grass, some leaves, and some twigs that I found outside. If the nest is broken, just like this chimney swift nest, you can arrange the pieces inside of a Tupperware container to hold it together and create more stability. Now that we have either located or made a makeshift nest for the baby bird, now we have to move it. I recommend either using a tissue, a napkin, or a set of gloves. This is to protect the baby bird, but don't worry, the myth of baby birds having human scent on it and being abandoned by their parents is not true. Birds actually have a very poor sense of smell. So I'm going to take our baby bird and gently place it into the nest. Now we can just secure it back into the tree where it came from or any nearby elevated surface to protect it from predators. Now I'll show you how to actually attach a bird nest into an optimal spot. So the best places are going to be elevated off the ground to protect the nest from any predators. Bushes or trees would be perfect areas. You can also secure it on top of a ladder if no other spots are available. For this demonstration, I have poked some holes in this nest and attached some zip ties, and I'm going to secure it into some branches in this bush. As you can see, the bird and its nest are safe inside the bush. It'll be protected from predators, and as long as you monitor the area, the parent bird should be able to return back to the nest. I'm going to show you how to secure it is in a tree. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using a bungee cord. So again, I have 2 holes poked in the side of the nest. I'm going to set it in this branch.
All right, we have a little bit of issues with the video there. What we can do is we can probably send you that link. It's on YouTube. The audio was playing, we see, and the video kind of froze. So maybe in the downloading process it got corrupted. But we can surely send that to you. We will paste that now in the comment section, and you can feel free to watch that in your own time. But very interesting content that we have here from the video that was just shown. And one of the new things that we learned today is that sometimes if you don't know if it's very hard to tell if when you re-nest the parent comes back, right? Of course, the usual thing is to give it some distance, right? Because if you are right in front of the nest again, the parent won't come back, right? You give it a distance, you observe for a couple of minutes, right? Maybe a couple of hours, and see if the parent comes back. But another trick that they also mentioned in the video is that you can also like leave it for a while, go away, and you can also come back and check if there's feces around the nest, right? Because the baby bird will always poop when it gets fed from the parent, right? So it's a very useful trick to know there. You can always go back and check if there's any activity or take a before and after picture to see if the baby has changed, anything has changed in the nest. So very interesting stuff there from that video. All right, moving on. We want to share a little update on the New World screwworm, right? And let me just quickly get this up on the screen for you.
We have the latest numbers from Baja for you guys. And again, we just want to warn or put the advice out there for all livestock owners, pet owners, everyone. Inspect your animals daily. Smell for any foul odors. Look for any signs, any flies buzzing, any even small injuries, because even a tiny injury can provide space for infestation to start. So be mindful of that.
Right, so we're still, as a nation, struggling with New World screwworm, and I saw another news article from somewhere in the Kaya district that the farmers are very, very concerned about it, right? But here's the latest update. It says 977 confirmed cases, and more than half, right, 55% are in dogs, and the majority of them, they follow, dogs, cows, pigs, and horses, right? So I think it's a big impact on the livestock industry here in Belize, right? Like I mentioned, the farmers are very concerned. We have several cases in wildlife, right? So we had those howler monkeys that came through the clinic. We've also seen birds, squirrel, and the tapir as well that was fortunately released a couple of weeks back, and I think we have that. We're gonna share that in just a bit, right? But very concerning to see that it's also affecting our wildlife as well. Toledo and Cayo district remain the leaders in the case in the cases, and yeah, it's like Max mentioned. We just want to advise you to try to look after your animal. You want to have special care, smell for any odor, and look for any wounds. And it doesn't take much for infestation. Right? They say that even a little tick bite can provoke something, and they can get infested with New World screwworm. So that's something to look after.
And also even like newborn animals from the umbilical cord. Areas like that can be a really easy area for them to infest, and obviously these animals are still very tender, very susceptible to different stuff, so you want to really be careful when it comes to that. So on from our New World screwworm update into our current patients, our intakes, releases, and transfers. So it's baby season again at BWRC. It started up early this year. From actually in December, we received that baby Margay. Right now we have baby squirrels, about 9 baby opossums, and 3 more that we're trying to get from Dangriga right now. So unfortunately, one of the baby squirrels did not make it, but the rest of them are, putting on weight, growing well, doing well, and growing really fast, actually. So before too long, I think our first 2 baby squirrels of the season, which you can see pictured here, will be ready for release. They are very, very active, learning how to climb, learning how to feed on their own, all of that, and yeah, doing good. Then we also have a pale vented pigeon that came in from trees with a small laceration, but it's also doing well. It's moving from our ICU area to a pre-release enclosure today. We were actually just hanging up some branches for it before the slide. So it'll be going over there pretty soon and then be able to go back where it came from, down at trees, and be released again. We had a confiscated coati brought in by the forest department, and it was introduced to another juvenile coati, which, even though it's younger, is actually more wild than the one that the forest department brought in, because that one had been kept as a pet. So now we have our baby coati teaching the confiscated one, how to be a wild animal, how to be a wild coati. So eventually we hope to release the two of them together, and we'll see if any more come in this season. It's been an early start to that. I think last year we didn't start getting coatis until about June. So that's something to keep in mind too. We might have more as the year develops, but we'll be looking out for them and we will be ready for them. We have a very sad case that I mentioned that Gian was actually called for and went to pick up the other night. A Mesoamerican slider, which is a type of turtle here in Belize. I think people commonly call them bocotora. And this one was on the road by the low water bridge in Santa Elena.
It's the high one, the big.
The high one in Santa Elena. And as you can see from the photo, sorry I should have warned, it's a bit of a graphic image, but it was run over by a vehicle. So again, guys, if you do see a turtle crossing the road, please take it in the direction that it's headed. We lose a lot of these animals every year to our roadways. So something to be mindful of too and watch out for. I know they can be difficult to spot at night, but again, that's a good reason to go slow and be attentive, among so many more reasons. I mean, yeah, our roads are dangerous. So, yeah, sadly that turtle did not survive, but onto some good news. You guys might remember the white-tailed deer that was confiscated from hunters after its mother and several other deers were hunted illegally in a protected area outside of their hunting season. Well, that deer has been since transferred to the Belize Zoo. It was stabilized, it grew up a bit more, we had to bottle feed it actually for a bit, and unfortunately it was just too young to really learn enough from its parent before that tragedy struck, so it was deemed unreleasable. So yeah, if you do want to see that baby deer, she's now homed at the Belize Zoo. Incredible partners that we have there. Yeah, it's wonderful to have an organization like that we can transfer these unreleasable animals to. Another big news for Georgie the howler monkey, which our viewers might be familiar with by now. After 9 months, his wound is fully sealed, finally. And it was such a gruesome wound. We are all just amazed that he managed to keep the leg, that, he's regrown it a bit. Yeah, that is Georgie. And yeah, he's been through 9 months of care and many, many surgeries. So our most expensive patient ever, I believe, at BWRC. But yeah, it was great to not only save him, but save his leg as well after that devastating screwworm infestation that he had. And next he'll go to our transfer partners at Wildllife. So yeah, he's on the right path. And yeah, just quick update on the baby Margay. She has been hunting live prey on her own, so still quite a long way to go and lots to learn before she can even be considered for a release to the wild, but we're hopeful there as well. And last but not least, we have the story of Frederick the tapir. So while he wasn't a patient here at BWRC per se, because he's such a large animal and we couldn't really transport him down here, Dr. Isabel and our animal care team were vital alongside the Belize Zoo for caretaking this animal for about 2 months until he completely recovered from these devastating screwworm injuries and was able to be released. So Frederick has been released. He found water, he crossed a river, he's doing all the right things. And yeah, just another huge, huge thank you to both Dr. Isabel and Godwin Castillo of here at BWRC, as well as the Belize Zoo and the Dyke family up there in Blue Creek for, taking care of this animal and feeding him for those 2 months. And I think they said that they felt that Frederick had even become a part of their family at that point. So yeah, awesome to see people out there that care for animals and that are willing to, be a part of this change and help take care of it up here for 2 months while it recovers from screwworm. So yeah, big thanks to all involved in that one. It was some great collaboration for some great results.
All right. Well, as the hour comes by, I guess we just want to end this live by saying thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching today. I think only Aurora answered our trivia questions. No, there's Gabi Manza who said contact BWRC for wildlife in trouble to seek advice, and she did say that fledgling have feathers and hatchlings don't. Right? Exactly. Right. So hatchlings will usually be bare. They still have a very few to no feathers, while fledgling they're already becoming a mini adults learning to fly. All right, so thank you very much for everyone who answered our trivia questions. Thank you for watching today. It's a very, very big honor to have you here sharing with us in this live. And we also want to say thanks to a couple of our interns and volunteers. Daniel, we have our new intern from Galen University, Natalie, who will be here for a couple of months with us. As usual, Ms. Jen McKnight from the Turtle Lab here in Belize. And she always, Savannah Feed Station, she always comes down to volunteer with us. Our long-standing volunteer, Craig Hire. To all our callers and transport, and again, if you can still help us with that transport from Dangriga up to even Belmopan, we can meet you. So thank you so much for all you do. Donors and sponsors, we want to give a big shout out to Supermart from San Ignacio. They donated a total of 20 folding chairs for our new classroom, right? So it's a huge, huge help for us. We have the building, but we didn't have the chairs as well for it. So thank you very much for your kind donation. Belize Communication and Security Limited also give us a very nice donation of $1,000. We want to publicly recognize that and say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. A little drop in that bucket eventually fills the bucket, right? So thank you very much for your contribution to everything we do. Again, we are an NGO, and basically this is how we survive, from donation and kindness from people out there. So
yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it. Thanks to all our viewers. Thanks to everyone who has helped us along the way. And if you are interested in donating, don't hesitate to reach out to us either. So yeah, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next month.
all right.